So here's my demo deck. And there's a couple things that I'll use. So the first thing that I'll do, so have a final slide. What I'll usually do, can you see my screen?
Yes.
I think you're just looking at my home screen. All right. So I always will go to the company's website that I'm about to talk to, and I will dump in their logo right there. I'll use the snipping tool and dump it in. So you guys should pick a PC17 logo and do something. So you have this kind of stuff. Right. I have this blocked out, but here's kind of an agenda slide. If you want to have an agenda slide, that's fine. Talk about what we did last time, talk about what we did this time. I will probably use an agenda slide 2% of the time, just because I don't really see much value in it. But if you do, then use it. That's fine. This is my product slide. So I'll use this slide to talk to a customer about the 3 modules that we offer. Some guys talk about a stool. I personally think the stool is stupid, just because we're talking about a stool with 3 legs. You guys, if you are comfortable with the talk track, then talk about it. I'm not. I use this slide to say Avalara's compliance solution is really based on 3 core products. We start at the front end with our tax calculation engine. We can manage your B2B sales through the certificate management process, and then at the end of the process, we can file and remit your return. So I'll use this one slide to talk about the 3-legged stool. Cool? How it works. This is going to be a requirement. I'm going to ask you guys to tell me and pitch me this slide. I'm going to tell me one of your benchmarks, certification marks. I want you to be able to talk to me about how it works. Because here's where we're at a disadvantage. I can't pop open eAutomate and show it to them. I can't pop open Chempax and show it to them. Kevin's got to be on the phone for me to show him Agility by DMSI. How easy is it, Saka, when Kevin jumps on the phone and shows Agility? How much easier is it for you to sell the deal? Because it's what they use every day. The customer uses Agility every day, so if I can show them Agility every day, then we're money. We don't have that advantage in a lot of our connectors. Evan's working on it, but we don't have it yet. So you have to be able to talk about this slide.
This is how it actually works. What it'll do is it kind of whispering to anytime there's a whisper to what it will do, take into account what's told to customers, where it's going to, where it's coming from, take all of this that allows. And at the end of the day, all these transactions are running through our system, are active within our reporting if you do it on your own, or you can outsource that to us.
Perfect. I wouldn't change that. Now you can get creative. I made this invoice. So if I were talking to an eAutomate client, what I would do is pop open the ECI eAutomate logo and put it in there instead of an invoice. So now they can see, oh, okay, this is the product that I use, not just some dumbass invoice. You should be able to get that. You can get that on the website. Snipping PowerPoint. We don't need to bother Evan with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can do that. Pat Fall's been here for a couple of days, Evan, and one of the things that he does that I stole is I make my own PowerPoint decks. There's not a marketing class with Jerry McGuire on, as far as I think. So just do that. You can do that. But that was good.
So I wasn't able to hear a lot of that previous discussion. So was that you guys talking to this slide essentially?
Yeah. So essentially, Evan, what we're looking at is this is how it works. So what I would describe on the slide is the top right corner represents eAutomate or whatever. It's the invoicing platform in which we're talking about. And the connector in between is an API, which is a piece of software that allows these two systems to talk to each other in real time. And what happens is when you create an invoice inside of eAutomate, then eAutomate's going to ping our tax engine, and we're going to take a look at the invoice and in 0.4 of a second, return back to eAutomate a real-time tax calculation based on a few things. Based on where they're who the customer is, where they're located, and what they're buying. Our tax engine is cloud-based. So that means that anytime rates, rules, and boundaries change from the Department of Revenue, we upload those rates and rules to our tax engine in real time. What that means, Evan, is that you are never, ever going to be required to research and upload the most recent tax rate inside of eAutomate. Evan, I like to ask, how often do you research tax rates and how often do you upload those rates into eAutomate?
Almost never.
So the issue that you're running into, Evan, is that you're going to be required, and you are required, to upload most recent rates every month. When's the last time you think you did an upload on rate?
It's probably been a couple of years whenever we set this software up in the first place.
Yeah, right? So certainly not here to beat you up, but the advantage that Avalara offers is that you'll no longer be required to upload those rates, and it'll no longer be in the back of your head that you need to do it, because we're going to do that for you. And that's really how it works. I could pitch Avalara and never show another slide, gentlemen. I can use this one slide and pitch the whole damn thing. But pick and choose what you want. Sometimes I don't show this. But that's what this slide's about, Evan.
Cool.
This is really for a partner. Use this slide on every demo. There's 3 slides I use on the demo. You just saw me do it.
Yes.
Title slide, how it works, and this one right here. This is the decision process that we go through every single time an invoice gets generated inside of eAutomate. The first thing we do is look at where they have Nexus. Second thing we'll look at is who's the customer and what's their taxability. By the way, Evan, now that we're on the topic, how do you manage your exempt certificates today?
Oh, we have
Whatever.
a customer filling out, and you and I talked about this slide here, Chris, and this speaks to something that I've always said, which is you need to collect tax on every single thing that you sell, unless you can prove that you don't have to collect tax on everything you sell. So this is kind of what it does here. It's like, people go, well, I have to figure out if I need to charge tax. If you don't know that you don't, then you do. And there's only certain things that prevent it. So.
Yep, you got it. So, and I'll go through the rest of these slides just so you can kind of see them. But on my canned demo, my everyday vanilla, I'm showing title slide with company logo. I'm showing how it works. And I'm showing the decision-making process. Yep. Okay. Now, the other slides really depends on your customer. Okay. This is for NetSuite specific because that's when I built it. But the same is true, guys, for every one of our native functionality stuff. So this is a slide that distinguishes, and this is a John Perry slide, Keith. It's been around since like the 70s. Not literally, but John's. Doesn't say your thoughts. It doesn't say your thoughts. He probably took it out. But I can take out advanced tax module and say Avatax versus eAutomate, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to put. And it's all the same. The tax decision process, like this slide that I showed before about the steps, this is the same shit, just in a different format. So if you have a customer that you want to kind of talk through this, then that's the slide for that. The difference between what you have today versus what we have. Go ahead. Yeah. Takeaway for you. There was a way that we could find out what the native tax functionality looks like for our connectors, for our vertical ERPs.
Okay. I'll make that as part of the conversation around screenshots and things like that. It's
and what do they call it? Right?
I'm getting from, go ahead.
Right.
Why are we better than one thing they're already? They're going to have something.
Yeah.
What you hear from customers all the time, oh, I'm good. My ERP does that.
Good point. Yeah, so this slide is so if we could find out, Evan, what the native functionality is, then we can speak to the comparisons of what we offer versus what they have. Because James is saying what we get a lot is, oh no, eAutomate already does that.
That's everything from the calculation to the reporting functionality as well. Always got off of the eAutomate client. She said, oh, eAutomate does all this for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't see the value in, I don't see the ROI in paying $6,000 bucks. eAutomate already does. So this you guys do it.
So that's a topic for another day. I kind of want to keep it to the demo, but you can kind of make a note of that. Now, I love this slide, man. If I'm presenting in front of partners, I use this shit every time. Every time. Okay, I show this one first. It says, hey, there's 43,000 zip codes, but there's 11 sales tax jurisdictions across the U.S. So it just alludes to sales tax is hard. So here's an example, and this is exactly how I transitioned to it. This is Commerce City, Colorado, a suburb of Denver. The homes that are shaded in blue have a sales tax rate of 9.25%. The homes that are shaded in green have a sales tax rate of 4.75%. This is the exact same zip code, guys, but there is a delta of 4.5% between this house and this house. Obviously, that's the person that lost the mayoral election, and that's the person that won it. And typically, people will laugh. You assholes didn't, but typically people will. That's a huge slide for us. What Avalara is going to do is make sure that we capture this type of calculation versus what you're doing today. And we spin it by talking about a customer, not the state. One of two things will happen. You're either going to charge this customer 9.25%, or you're going to charge this customer 4.75%. If you undercharge this customer, then you have to make up the difference. If you overcharge the customer, then what are you doing to that customer? Agility is a perfect example because they're a lumber company. What are the chances that if I'm a lumber buyer that I'm going to get more than one quote? Probably pretty good. So if I'm going to get 3 quotes, say from 3 different lumber companies, and the only differentiator between your quote and the other 2 is the tax rate of 9.25 versus the 4.75, you may lose the bid. So I got to ask you, Keith, what's the cost of a customer? That's the picture you want to paint. That's what this slide does. This slide speaks to zip codes are terrible, and this is why they're so bad. Now, Keith, you use a URL to do this. I've seen you do it. You go to taxrates.com and you just start clicking on shit. That's perfectly fine. I like this because it's static and I don't need to go searching for stuff. But where it's beautiful is I've seen you do it where the customer says, oh, we're in Louisiana. You go boop, right to Louisiana and you just start clicking on the map. Beautiful. I'm okay with that. That's part of your demo. Perfect.
Because I know, like, John Perry, whole thing, they go, hey, if you have the tax rate wrong, should be audited, or you get that audit. I know they still do that, but that's just
because I don't think you're going to lose an audit because of a bad calculation. I just don't believe that when you cut, and this is from Christine Martin and this is from John Solis. This is from people that know what they're doing. Typically, a state auditor is looking for low-hanging fruit just like we are. They have quotas just like we do. So if I charge the customer 9.25%, I was supposed to charge a 4.75%, the state auditor doesn't give a shit because they're collected 9.25%. The state auditor also doesn't give a shit if you charge this customer 4.75% because they want you to pay 9.25%. So I disagree with the notion of the bad calculation is going to cause you to fail an audit. And I believe that the people that we're pitching to know that to be true as well.
what I've heard is,
Absolutely. You'll pass every single sales audit by charging the highest rate.
As long as that's the amount you remit.
Correct, which it would be. 9 times out of 10 it would be. Well, 99 times out of 100 it would be. But you got to talk to the customer about what's the cost of a customer, which no one thinks about. I didn't think about it till Pat Fall taught it to me. I got to tell you, if you get 3 quotes, all of them have 4.75 but yours. Which one would you pick if you were the buyer? What's the cost of a customer? Why would you open yourself up to a customer service issue? What if a customer bought something for me? Do you think this person in the greenhouse knows their tax rate is 4.75? Maybe. But why take the chance?
or if it's the other buyer that
And if typically Agility sells to lumber people, they probably have a buying department that probably knows how to do this. If they're buying NetSuite selling t-shirts, this may not hold as much weight as someone selling roofing materials through Agility.
I've actually heard that.
And maybe your calculation was, and look, maybe your calculation was right. But why would you even worry about it? Why have that customer service issue, taking manpower, why would you have your customer question your ability to calculate tax correctly? Do it right now. That make sense? And I don't use this slide very often because I use something else to show this. But if you've got the right customer, this is what you'll show. The next ones are fun. I love these next slides. People bust my balls about these slides, but I love them. This talks to product taxability. The non-taxable and the taxable floats up when you're presenting the presentation. So when it first comes on, it's just the bagel, sliced and non-sliced. And I'll ask the room, or I'll ask the customer, all right, guys, bagel, one slice, one non-slice, which one's taxable, which one's not? Almost everybody says, well, the one that's sliced is taxable because there's a service involved, and the one that's non-taxable, blah, blah, blah. And I'll say, well, actually, it has nothing to do with the service. This is considered a food item in which you can eat on premise. This is considered a grocery item. Grocery items are not subject to tax, whereas food items are. And people will go, oh. I say New York. Now, this is the one that most people don't get. Most people get the bagel one, but now I say in Colorado, if you go through a fast food drive-through, you're going to get something to drink. And it's going to come with a cup, and it's going to come with a lid and a straw. One's taxable, one's not. No one ever gets it. And they'll say, whatever. And I'll say, well, the lid and the straw is taxable. The cup itself is non-taxable. So do yourself a favor when you're driving through McDonald's and just make sure you get the cup and not the straw and the lid. You'll save yourself some time. I'm illustrating product taxability. And I don't do this shit on demos anymore, but you can depending upon the customer. It depends on the customer. But I want you to have the whole slide deck so you can see what it looks like. This is another example. It's ice in Arizona. If it's a block of ice, it's taxable when you break it up and put it in something to drink, like an orange soda or whatever. Non-taxable. Look, man, racism is real. So this was a NetSuite slide deck, but here's transactions. Here's what I would do, and I can't find it, so you got to build it yourself. Go to the transactions tab in Avatax and screenshot it and pop it into a PowerPoint and make it the same items. Make it a Texas invoice, a California invoice, and a whatever invoice, and show the same 3 items in 3 different states, and then pop arrows up to show the differences between the 2. I used to use this when NetSuite was around, and I sold NetSuite, and I never, ever opened up the admin console because this right here made it happen. These are just customers, and that's it. So that's my slide deck. Do yourselves a favor and don't do PowerPoint. Don't do death by PowerPoint. I've been talking to you for 18 minutes, and if I was on the phone with a customer, I would have already lost your ass. You're multitasking. You're checking emails. You're doing other shit, and I haven't even popped open the admin console yet. So that's why I only show 3 slides. Title, whoop, here's it. Here's how it works. Whoop, 4 steps. Here we go. Now let me show you how the whole thing works. Make sense? What we need to think about, guys, is, and I've told you this, we win the deal in discovery. We don't win the deal in demo. We just don't. Demo should be really quick, really high level. Here's what you guys do today. Here's what we can do now. When we're at PC17, this is what I want you to show. Couple things. One is the Avalara SDK demo. I'll send you this URL if I haven't already. You may already have it. Okay, this needs to be in your favorites, kids. This is from John Perry, and this has been around a long time. Okay? The first thing you want to do is say, I don't have Agility pulled up to show you in real time, but this is an example of what happens on the back end. This is a Washington customer, and we're going to start adding items to their shopping cart. Box of apples, 2 boxes of nails, and a computer case. And I make a joke saying this is the Walmart of the e-commerce world because it's a one-stop shop and the only place you can get a box of nails, a box of apples, and a computer case all at the same time. When I go to calculate tax, guys, a couple things happen. One, I'm going to validate this address in real time. Before, I had a partial address. I only had BI. I didn't really have my zip code. I didn't have much at all. So the first thing that we're going to do in real time inside of Agility is we're going to validate this address and make sure that it's correct. We do that for 2 reasons. One, added ROI to you. How often do you guys ship product? Whatever. What if you can validate that address? 2, we're doing it because on the slide I showed before and we talked about we look at the rooftop, so I'm converting it. Now I'm going to do a tax calculation at a line item level. Apples, no tax in Washington. The box of nails, $1.80. The computer case, $9. Watch what happens when I change the address. And that's the only thing I'll change. Put any address you want. I usually use this one, 512 Mangum. That's the address here. Keith, just use the one you have in Irvine if you want to. It doesn't matter. Delete this, 27701, and I'll delete this. And it's the same invoice, guys. All I did was change the state. So let's... Thanks, Saka. I knew I had you around for something. I'm doing this on the big screen. So now when I do this and I go to calculate tax, same thing's going to happen. Why won't it do it? 27701? What is it? 20071? You should always run this test before your demo starts. There we go. Calculate. So now what it's done, because I've changed the city and because I've changed the address, I've validated again. But now look at the difference in tax calculation. Now the apples are taxable in North Carolina. It's 10 cents. The box of nails is $1.50, and the computer case is $7.50. So the only thing I change between the two is the address. And we've done a tax calculation on the back end to make sure that it's all correct. So imagine this being eAutomate, or this being Agility by DMSI, the same concept will happen. Make sense? That's where I start. Any questions on that? You got it. You got it. So then I'll come over here. And it really depends on who I'm talking to. If I'm talking to someone that's old like me and I ask them, I just did this, I think, when you were in there, maybe it was Linda. I said, do you remember the movie Back to the Future? Evan, do you remember the movie Back to the Future?
Of course, yeah.
So do you know what the flux capacitor is?
Sort of.
The flux,
it's the thing that
the flux
makes it
capacitor
work.
is what makes time. See, it makes time travel possible. Evan, this is the flux capacitor. This is the Avalara dashboard. Okay, this is what makes sales tax possible. You're going to configure your Nexus states. We're going to associate the product mapping to Avalara tax codes. Everything related to your sales tax profile gets defined in this dashboard, just like the flux capacitor. Once the dashboard's been defined and the sales tax profile's been implemented, you're really not going to come in here very much. Because just like I showed you in this makeshift e-commerce site, everything happens on the back end. So I don't want to spend a ton of time in here, because once you set it, you're really going to need to forget it. And oh, by the way, we help you get this thing set up through our Go Live team. Do yourself a favor and say that transition. Okay? Where I'll start is over here in the tool. I'll say, remember, we do a rooftop calculation. I'll show you why that's important. Tools, basic tax calculator, company has to be Christine's demo company. Okay? Tools, basic tax calculator, it has to be Christine's demo company. Do not look like an asshole and try to do this without changing company, because you're going to look like an asshole. Okay? The destination, put the zip code in, 30024. Put a $100 item in. Calculate tax. I'm going to be able to show in a quick amount of time, we've got a 6% tax rate, 4% goes to the state of Georgia, 2% goes to Gwinnett County. If you're using a basic zip code rate file, this is the exact tax calculation you're going to get for every single house in 30024. Watch what happens when I change the address. 240 Hammersmith Drive. Write this down if you don't have it. 240 Hammersmith Drive. That's the only thing I have to put in here. Click Validate. It validated the address. And remember me telling you, Evan, that we're going to convert this to longitude, latitude. I've just done that here. Here are those coordinates. Guys, you're going to run into a customer in our space that doesn't have an address. They're going to ship product to a construction site that has no address. But what do they do? What do they have? I'm the only game in town that can fucking do that. eAutomate can't consume longitude, latitude components and make a tax calculation on it. Nope. Neither can DMSI. I can't. I sold a $75,000 NetSuite deal in about 20 minutes because we can do that. I digress. Now when I calculate tax, watch what happens now, Evan. Now it's a 7% tax rate. I've got 4% to the state of Georgia, but this address of 240 Hammersmith Drive fits within Forsyth County. That's a 3% tax rate instead of a 2% tax rate. I sold an API deal for London Smith on Monday. He's another rep here, Evan. And the guy gave me 4 addresses in Atlanta to test to see what the tax calculations was. I was on the phone with him for 10 minutes. I popped in all 4 addresses and got it right. He signed a contract that afternoon.
Nice.
Small deal, but shavings make a pile. Okay? Tools, basic tax calculator, Christine's Demo Company, 30024 first, 240 Hammersmith Drive second. I've just shown them what this tax engine can do in 4 clicks. Follow?
Mm-hmm.
If they sell services, if they sell anything outside of tangible personal property, do yourself a favor, go to the Avalara Help Center, look for the tax code, and put it in right there. You can show a demo of Avalara and never leave the screen. Give me an address, Keith. Give me a product that you have in your invoice system right now. Let's create this, and let me give you the tax calculation. Perfect. 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 Dude, while you're at PC17, show the SDK tax demo that I showed you first, and then do what you just told me. That's it. Don't make this demo complicated, guys. And it's common for a lot of reps. Keith, when we first met, you said the number one thing you need help with is demo. You sold $70,000, and this is the very first demo training that we've done. You don't have to focus on the demo. That's the what. What do we sell? We sell the why. We don't sell what. Make sense? This makes sense, Evan?
It does.
Okay. Other things in the dashboard. Customers will ask about configuration. We'll talk about that. They get really scared about it. Okay? Configuration's pretty easy. Okay? If I click on the organization tab, this is how we're going to get set up initially. By the way, you notice I have multiple companies inside my dashboard. If you guys have a situation to where you run into a couple subsidiaries, a parent-child type relationship, you can manage those different companies in one dashboard and have completely unique sales tax profiles for each one of those. So what you won't have to worry about, Keith, is logging into 5 or 6 different URLs to manage all of these subsidiaries. You can do it all right here. I won't bore you with the setup because I don't want it to turn into a training session, but let's just kind of start with Nexus. Tell me what Nexus state you're in. Guys, you got to practice this shit because when you start clicking buttons and it pauses, you got to come up with words to fill that space. John Perry does that better than anyone I've ever met. Inside or outside of Avalara, he knows exactly how much time it takes when I click that button to when that next screen pops up. And he's practiced and mastered the art of when I click on the button for Nexus, what's going to happen initially for you, Keith, is that all the countries are going to populate because I'm in a demo account. Your base account's only going to come with the United States and Canada. So you won't really need to scroll through all this stuff that I'm doing. So we start at the country level, and when I select jurisdictions, what's going to populate next on the screen are all of the different states in which you may or may not have a Nexus requirement. See how I'm talking and that shit populate? Practice that shit, man. You can't just sit here and do this and expect that it's going to work all the time. Practice, practice, practice. Okay? Tell me the states that you have Nexus in, Evan.
Colorado, Nevada, California, Oregon, Wyoming.
Okay.
So if you can see my screen, Evan, what I'm doing for you is I am configuring your Nexus profile inside of Avalara. So once I click save, in about 30 seconds, I've just configured your entire Nexus profile inside our dashboard. The rest of the setup is pretty similar as well. We walk through the configuration with you, blah, 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 blah. But that's pretty powerful in showing that I just triggered Nexus for them. But I'm not going to go any further. I'm not going to go into custom tax codes. I'm not going to go into rules, items, exemptions, locations, or funding POA. I'm not going into any of that other shit. Why do you think that is? And it looks wonky. It looks bad. That was pretty easy. This is a demo, not a training session. That's all I show on setup. Any questions on setup, Keith? Does this look like it's pretty easy to use? Fantastic. Okay? Come on, man. You don't need demo training, bro. You needed someone to tell you that you know what you're doing. So if you want us to do your tax returns for you, Keith, you'll log into the Avalara dashboard once a month so we can reconcile all of your tax filings. Remember, Keith, our company is a fully automated solution when it comes to filing tax returns. Imagine 10 jurisdictions that are due within a month. And each jurisdiction is due $100. So Avalara is responsible for managing your filing calendar, and we're going to take $1,000 from your sales tax payable account via ACH. Because, right, 10 jurisdictions, $100 a piece. We're then going to go back behind you, and we're going to file tax returns to each one of those 10 jurisdictions and remit that $100 payment to them on your behalf. So you're no longer responsible for filing those returns. What you'll do once a month or once a quarter is you'll come into our liability worksheet and you'll reconcile all of the numbers that were passed across by eAutomate. Again, looks kind of busy because I'm in a demo account, but you get the idea. These are my sales, my taxable sales, my non-taxable sales, and this is the amount that I would remit to Avalara. First couple filing cycles are going to be a bit wonky. You're going to have to come in there and you're going to have questions. You've got support. We'll walk you through it. By the third filing cycle, you'll become a pro at this. So, good question. Thank you. So it's got to be Ian's demo company. It's messed up now, so it won't work. I just tried it. Keith got in, though. November 2013. Look, man, November 2013 is that date for return, okay? Once we file your returns, we store those returns in a filing archive located right here. This is, I'm sorry, James, I told you wrong. August 2009 is the returns date. November 2013 is for this. It's for the filing archive. And what should populate are returns in PDF. And I'll say, if we're filing your returns, we keep them in an archive, which you can populate by PDF. You can keep them in the dashboard. We'll never get rid of them. Or you can store these locally on your servers and on your hard drives, whichever you prefer. In addition to filing the returns and storing them, we also answer any and all of your tax notices. So if the state comes back and has questions about the return that Avalara filed, you forward those to your account manager, and we answer those on your behalf. You can log into the dashboard, click on tax notices, and see that. Hang on one second, guys. Hey, sorry, Evan. You
No
there?
worries. Yep, I'm here.
Okay. And that's really what I'll talk about with tax returns. The liability worksheet, filing archive, and then tax notices. And you guys will need to know that at PC 17. Okay? Keith knows how to do it. You know how to do it too, I think. You got to practice. You guys need to practice the talk track around it because you guys need to be at the table at PC 17 doing these demos. You really do, man. And just the basic shit that I just showed you. Evan, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm having a hard time when anybody talks besides you, Chris. I can hear you, but nobody else.
Do you know if they're going to have monitors set up at these tables, or will you be going off laptop?
Laptop.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So the last thing that I'll show guys are the reports tab. Be careful with reports. We want them to buy returns. So if you go to reports before you go to returns, it kind of takes some of the gusto away from your return SKU. So I show reports last, the last thing I show. And I only show one report. So I click on reports and I click on tax return report. And I click on sales and sellers use tax jurisdiction details. And I stop. And I say, these are your reports, and these are reports that you guys can run and export at your leisure. You can sort by country, by state, by location, by time, by anything you really want. For the sake of the demo, I'm just going to pull open a regular report. I can export this report in HTML, Excel, or PDF. For the purposes of the demo, I'll just do HTML. And what's going to... You motherfucker.
Is that part of your talk track too?
No. This is why. I mean, I hate to say it, man. You got to go in here and you got to do these clicks before your call starts, just to make sure it's going to work. If I were to do this right before the demo and try to generate these reports, and it doesn't generate, guess what I'm not showing in my demo? Report. Golly, this makes me so mad. But I would show the report, and I just did it. I don't know why it's not working now, because it was just working. Golly, what the hell, man? Let me see if that one will generate. Probably not. Golly. Reporting should show a high-level overview of where it starts with jurisdiction, and I'll send you these reports, Evan, when I get them downloaded. It starts with the state level, and then as you click on the hyperlinks inside the HTML report, it's going to go pull open California and then bust open California. So it's state, city, and all the special tax jurisdictions, just like this. Evans or Keith's got it on his computer for whatever reason. And then as you continue to drill into the report, you can see the invoice. And Keith, you already know how to do this. That's it. That's the report. That's it, dude. That's the demo. You already knew how to do this demo, man. We just didn't know it. Nope. Well, we are. Just I don't have time to touch it today. Yes, because you have a login. Search will take you about 10 minutes to show you. I just can't do it today if we're going to talk to that 3 o'clock person. Okay? Yeah, we can do it tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow's good. So eAutomate kids at PC7 or eAutomate. PC17 should be SDK demo, box of apples. Change it to North Carolina or Irvine. Show that. Admin console. Flux capacitor. Basic tax calculator. Organization nexus. Tax returns report. That's it. That's it. If they don't get it after that, you haven't done a good job. You can. Absolutely. Like the Texas example that you gave, instead of using the basic tax calculator for that, go to the transactions tab and find you a Texas invoice. I promise the Texas invoice inside the transactions tab is software. So Evan, just so you can see it, when you go over to transactions, be in Ian's demo company, hopefully. Go back in time. These are all Floridas. How do you know what back in time is, Keith? You don't know. You don't know anything about you really listening to this, man. If it spins like this, I'll usually blame it on the Wi-Fi. So dumb. So Texas. Here's an example, Keith. If I find a Texas invoice before I even go in there, I know this is SAS. So sometimes, Evan, I'll pop open a transaction like this to show the level of detail. And I'll say the top half of this is what DMSI is going to send over to Avalara. We're going to capture the origin address, the destination address, and then all of the information related to that customer. But on the bottom end, what's going to happen is we're going to do a line item tax calculation. In Texas, you've got tangible personal property on top. That's a $1,000 line item that's fully taxable. However, in Texas SAS offering, and this is how I'll talk about tax codes, we do an association as part of configuration of your inventory item with an Avalara tax code. So we know that this product, ASP hosted software server not in state, in Texas is only taxable at 80%. So I've taken my $1,000 line item and I've taken $200 to make it non-taxable and $800 that's taxable. So Evan, I got to ask, are you going to this level of detail when you create these invoices based on your product line?
No.
So here's kind of what we've uncovered, Evan. So the issue that you're running into today is that you're using native functionality within Agility, which is going to use a zip code-based file, but then it's going to set all of your products as tangible personal property. Evan, you've got Nexus in Texas. I'll laugh every time I say it. You've got Nexus in Texas, and you're selling items that fall outside of product tax or tangible personal property. Even if you dedicate all of your resources to doing it correctly, Evan, you're still only right about 70% of the time. Got to ask, man, do you think your job's in jeopardy if your CEO comes down and says that your job's only been about 70% right? There's a lot of ways you can spin it. There's a lot of ways you can package that. If I can't poke holes in zip codes are bad and product taxability, they're not a good fit for Avalara. And I use the demo to show them, not sell them, but show them that zip codes are bad and product taxability is hard. That's the only reason I use my demo. And at the end of the demo, reports is the last thing I show. At the end of it, I will say, are there any questions about what you've seen? And they'll say what? No, because they've been asking questions the whole time. So I will then say, is there a business process that you're currently doing today that we have not covered a solution for? And what do they typically say after that? No. Excellent. And that's what I wanted them to say. And then I will automatically assume next steps. And what are next steps? Timeline, price, contract, decision makers, all the stuff that you guys do. Your demo presentation should be 30 minutes probably, 30 to 45 minutes, and the rest of the time is questions. You need to talk 30%, you need to talk 30 minutes, they need to ask questions 30 minutes, hopefully. They should be asking questions. If you're doing this thing right, and you're doing the clicks and you're doing the stuff that you need to do, they should be asking you questions. You guys
so
have
just thinking out loud here, being devil's advocate a little bit, I'm going to guess that most of the people that come by and talk to us at PC17 aren't going to have 30 minutes to commit to this. So if you're going to...
100%.
What's that?
No. Yeah, you're right, Evan. Thank you. Trade show should be 5 minutes. Again, it's these things. You wouldn't do the PowerPoint deck and you wouldn't do all that shit. It's a great point. You should show this.
Well,
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I guess I was going to say that as it would seem to me that as what the other thing is, you said we win our deals in discovery, not in demo. So it seems like you would want, for the purpose of a trade show, to make that demo just enough to show that there's a technological capability to address the challenge. But really, we need to schedule time to understand the discovery side of things. So, so in other words, I guess you don't want to dump all your candy on the floor up front.
No, you're right. So. No. You're absolutely right, Evan. At a trade show, you wouldn't do this. But I was talking about just like a normal demo that we've already covered the discovery. You're right.
Yeah,
when I do a trade show, I'm showing the SDK demo and I'm showing this basic tax calculator. And that's it. You can show the technology with this SDK demo. You can show everything you need to show. If you don't like that, you can show everything you need to show right here. and this basic tax calculator. Keith, you know how to do this, man. You just proved it to me. You're now the demo expert at PC 17. You got to get James up to speed, though. Cool. Evan, any questions? Was this helpful? Not helpful?
No, it's definitely helpful. I went through some of it in my first week of training, and since I never need to use it, or seldom need to use it, I'm rusty. So it's good to see it again, and I'll play with it some more between now and the show so that I can do it without fumbling too much.
Yeah, and that's the best advice I have right now, guys, is go in and try. Go break it. Don't save anything. Don't save any settings. Don't do anything like that.
This is Christine off.
Yeah, and that's the last person you will need to be on the bad side of is Christine. So don't do that. Don't do that. All right?
Thank you, sir.
Cool, man. Yes, sir. I'm going to cut it because we got to go jump on this other call at 3 for James. Hopefully that's another deal.
We'll get him.
No, this speakerphone sounds like trash. All right, man. Thanks, dude.